Congressman, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. It's always great to hear from you. And I want to talk to you about Ida in Louisiana in just a bit, but I got to start with this. What we've seen so far, a flight has finally left, from Kabul, headed to Qatar. We know that some 150 are on board. We don't know how many of them are Americans. But again, your thoughts on that. Finally, it appears the Taliban has allowed this plane to leave. And your thoughts on the Secretary of State and just what kind of presentation he's been protruding, if you will, when it comes to U.S. forces and just how strong we are on the world stage.
Well, we're greatly weakened since January the 21st, and certainly over the course of this last month and 6 weeks. Blinken should resign. If not, he should be impeached. Biden should resign. If not, he should be impeached. This has been a collapse of American honor and strength overseas. It's being hailed as a great victory in the Mideast amongst our jihadist enemies, actually the enemies of the free world, are looking at the events that have unfolded in Afghanistan over the last 6 weeks as a complete defeat of America. And any kind of flight that this administration out of this White House starts heralding as a success, I would find it very suspect, because many of us, myself included, many of my colleagues in Congress, we've been called upon over the last month to use all of our own resources and personal connections and assets to try and rescue people that have been left behind. Christians, Americans, they're counting Americans that are actually American citizens, but many of these Americans have families over there. They're not leaving their family, they're not leaving their wife, they're not leaving their husband, their children, etc. So this White House is nothing but spin. We have a president that's totally scripted and controlled, has admitted as such in many of his choreographed press interactions. It's shameful. It's a disgrace what's happening right now, and America should pay attention to the fact that all of these problems you're seeing in Afghanistan could have been avoided had the Biden administration followed the Trump plan, which was to maintain military control of Afghanistan until every American and all of our allies on the ground in Afghanistan and our military equipment had been removed.
Yeah.
President Biden reversed that procedure, which has led to the disaster that we have right now.
That's what critics.
Continues.
That's what critics are pointing to, and some particularly, obviously, on your side of the aisle, sir, in regards to politics, that this should have been condition-based when we withdrew, and it wasn't. There wasn't an agreement at the end of the day with the Taliban to get our civilians out of there, to get our allies out of there. We simply left Bagram in the dark of night, and Secretary of State Blinken was just on tape talking about that. We don't have the airport there or the troops on the ground. There are limits to what we can do, which some would say makes us look weak. Why do we have limits when we're the most powerful nation in this world, when we have the most powerful military in this world, Representative?
Because the Biden administration has kneeled before our enemy. There should never been a moment, and it would have never happened under President Trump's administration, where America turned to the Taliban and said, please, will you allow us to do this, or would you let us do that? The Biden administration is referring to the Taliban as if it's a democratically elected sovereign nation. We have to ask permission to the Taliban. The only reason they have any control over what America has determined is in the best interest of Americans and our allies within the borders of Afghanistan. The only reason they have a say in that is because we have given them military authority over that nation, and we've armed them to the teeth by abandoning our own modern military equipment. Right. $85 billion worth of modern military equipment over there. It's horrific what has happened. It's insane, and America should be very disappointed in this administration.
Well, the poll numbers
They should be
definitely
removed.
show the disappointment for sure. 39% approval rating dropping for Biden, according to the Economist YouGov poll. I'm out of time with you. I want to point out one thing. 5 Gitmo detainees now serve on the Taliban government seats, if you will. One on the FBI wanted list for $5 million to capture this person. And there are obviously no women on this leadership board, if you will. Before we go, Ida has just wreaked havoc on Louisiana, claiming the lives. Death toll has risen by 11 now to 26 in that region. In your state, sir, hundreds of thousands without power. Where are you today?
Well, the utility companies are doing heroic work getting power restored in the wake of Ida. Louisiana is a strong state. We are a resilient people. We had a very brutal storm season last year in 2020. Southwest Louisiana still suffers and attempts to recover. The president has finally requested formally of Congress a supplemental disaster plan for recovery. We support that. Louisiana will stand back up, and we are not going to rest until every neighbor and every brother and sister across Louisiana has fully recovered from the storms last year and Ida this year.
All right. My thoughts are with you guys out there in Louisiana. Congressman Clay Higgins, thank you so much, Congressman.